The silent ship, the U.S. Prometheus, drifted silently through the void, its hull scarred and blackened from what appeared to be a devastating system failure. Emergency lights flickered weakly through cracked viewports, casting an eerie red glow across the research vessel's damaged exterior. Debris floated around the ship like metallic snow, creating the perfect picture of a vessel in distress. Commander Dekvar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Sovereign's Wrath, watching the human ship through the tactical display. His four eyes gleamed with satisfaction as he studied the readings. The ship's power output was minimal, its engines were offline, and most importantly, it showed no signs of weapons or defensive capabilities. Another pathetic human vessel, Dekvar said to his bridge crew, his voice carrying the natural arrogance of the hegemony. Their technology is centuries behind ours. Look how easily their systems fail. The hegemony had encountered human ships before, scattered exploration vessels and small colonies that offered little resistance. Every encounter had reinforced their belief that humans were a weak, primitive species unworthy of serious consideration. Their ships were slow, their weapons were basic, and their crews surrendered quickly when faced with superior hegemony forces. "Commander," reported his sensor officer, a thin-limbed alien with multiple arms. "The vessel appears to be a research ship. Our scans indicate scientific equipment and data storage systems. Could be valuable intelligence about human capabilities." They nodded approvingly. Intelligence was always useful, especially about potential threats. Not that humans posed any real threat, but the Hegemony Council valued thorough reconnaissance. "Any signs of life aboard?" "Yes, Commander. Approximately 40 life signs, concentrated in the central sections. Their life support appears to be failing gradually." "Excellent. We'll board the vessel, secure any useful information, and take the crew for questioning. The humans always break quickly under interrogation." Vekvar turned to his tactical officer, signaled the escort ships. "Surround the human vessel. Standard boarding procedures." 3 massive hegemony warships moved into position around the Prometheus. Each vessel was twice the size of the human ship, bristling with advanced weapons and carrying enough firepower to level a city. The formation was designed to intimidate and overwhelm, leaving no possibility of escape. Inside the Prometheus, Captain Alina Vasquez watched the alien ship's approach on her command display. Her dark eyes remained calm despite the overwhelming odds facing her crew. She was a veteran of deep space missions, chosen specifically for this assignment because of her steady nerves and quick thinking. "They're taking the bait perfectly," she said quietly to her senior staff. "Dr. Chen, are all the preparations complete?" Dr. James Chen, the ship's chief scientist, looked up from his console. His hands moved steadily across holographic controls, making final adjustments to systems that didn't appear on any standard ship schematic. "Protocol 7 is ready, Captain. All hidden systems are standing by. The quantum resonance chambers are charged and waiting." Lieutenant Sarah Mitchell, the communications officer, turned from her station. "Captain, I'm receiving a transmission from the lead hegemony vessel. They're demanding our immediate surrender." "Put it through," Vasquez ordered. The main screen flickered to life, showing Commander Vekvar in all his intimidating glory. The hegemony commander was typical of his species, tall, powerfully built, with rough grey skin and predatory features. His uniform was decorated with conquest medals and battle honors. Human vessel, Dekvar, spoke in accented but clear English. "This is Commander Dekvar of the Hegemony Third Fleet. Your ship is disabled and surrounded. Prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will result in the immediate destruction of your vessel. Captain Vasquez stepped into view of the camera, her expression neutral and professional. Commander Vikvar, this is Captain Alina Vasquez of the United Earth Science vessel Prometheus. We are a research ship on a peaceful mission. Our engines have malfunctioned, and we're experiencing multiple system failures. Dekvar studied her with obvious disdain. Like all hegemony commanders, he had been taught that humans were inherently weak and cowardly. Their small stature, single set of eyes, and soft appearance suggested a species that had never truly evolved for conflict. Your peaceful intentions are irrelevant, human. You will surrender your ship and submit to questioning. Comply, and your crew will be treated according to hegemony protocols. We understand, Vasquez replied calmly. My crew is prepared to cooperate fully. We have no weapons and no means of resistance. We're simply scientists studying interstellar phenomena. The ease of the surrender troubled some of Vekvar's officers, but the commander himself saw it as further proof of human weakness. Excellent. Lower what remains of your shields and prepare for boarding. Any attempt at deception will be met with lethal force. As the transmission ended, Dr. Chen looked at his captain with concern. Alina, are you sure about this? We're taking an enormous risk. If Protocol 7 fails, it won't fail, James. We've spent 3 years developing this technology specifically for this moment. The hegemony thinks they know everything about human capabilities, but they've only seen what we wanted them to see. Vasquez moved to the central command console, where a hidden panel had slid open to reveal controls that existed nowhere in standard Earth Navy documentation. How long since our last transmission to command? 18 hours, Mitchell replied. The message was received and acknowledged. The fleet should be in position by now. Good. Remember, everyone, we're just terrified scientists who've never seen combat. Play your roles perfectly, and this will work. The hegemony boarding shuttles approached the Prometheus with typical alien efficiency. Dekvar had assigned 2 full assault teams to secure the vessel, 40 heavily armed soldiers in powered armor. It was massive overkill for a disabled research ship, but hegemony doctrine emphasized overwhelming force in all situations. The lead assault team, commanded by war leader Keshma, docked with the Prometheus's main airlock. The hegemony soldiers moved through the ship's corridors with practiced precision, their heavy weapons ready for any sign of resistance. They found none. The human crew had gathered in the main laboratory as instructed, sitting quietly with their hands visible. Keshma studied them with growing confusion. These humans showed no sign of the fear he expected. They sat calmly, some even appearing curious about their captors rather than terrified. Captain Vasquez stood at the front of the group, her hands clasped behind her back in a relaxed posture. Welcome aboard the Prometheus, war leader. I'm Captain Vasquez. My crew and I are ready to cooperate with your boarding procedures. Keshma had boarded dozens of ships belonging to various species. He knew what fear looked like, what desperation sounded like. These humans displayed neither. They watched his soldiers with what appeared to be professional interest, like they were studying the hegemony troops rather than cowering from them. Where are your ship's weapons? Keshma demanded, his translator device making his voice sound mechanical and harsh. We don't carry weapons, war leader. This is a scientific research vessel. Our mission is to study cosmic phenomena, not engage. In combat, Vasquez gestured to the equipment around the laboratory. As you can see, we're equipped for research, not warfare. Keshmer examined the laboratory equipment. Much of it was unfamiliar, but it did appear to be scientific in nature. Computers, sensors, analysis devices, nothing that looked threatening. Yet something felt wrong about the situation. What kind of research? We study quantum mechanics at the interstellar level, Dr. Chen answered, stepping forward slightly. Specifically, we investigate quantum entanglement effects across vast distances and their potential applications for communication and navigation. The explanation meant nothing to Keshmer, but it sounded appropriately academic and harmless. Still, his combat instincts warned him that something was amiss. These humans were too calm, too prepared. In his experience, civilians faced with boarding parties either panicked or tried to negotiate. These people seemed almost ... expectant. Search the ship, he ordered his soldiers. Every compartment, every system. Look for hidden weapons or defensive systems. As the hegemony troops spread out through the Prometheus, Captain Vasquez maintained her calm demeanor. She watched the aliens work with apparent cooperation, occasionally answering questions about ship systems or crew quarters. To any observer, she appeared to be a frightened scientist trying to avoid trouble, but her eyes told a different story. They held a calculation, a patience that spoke of someone waiting for exactly the right moment. The hegemony soldiers found nothing suspicious. The ship's systems were exactly what they appeared to be: scientific equipment, life support, basic navigation. No hidden weapons, no military-grade shields, no secret compartments filled with soldiers. The vessel is secure, Keshmer reported to Commander Dekvar. No signs of weapons or defensive capabilities. The crew is cooperating fully. They appear to be genuine researchers. Excellent, came Va's reply. Begin transferring their data systems to our ships. I want a complete copy of everything. Their research, their star charts, their communication logs. Knowledge of human capabilities will be valuable to the Council. As the hegemony troops began accessing the Prometheus's computer systems, Dr. Chen stepped closer to Captain Vasquez. To casual observation, he appeared to be seeking comfort from his commander. In reality, he was making a final status report. All systems are green, he whispered. The quantum resonance chambers are fully charged. The entanglement network is active and synchronized. Protocol 7 is ready for activation on your command. Vasquez nodded slightly. How long until they access the core systems? 15 minutes, maybe 20. Their technology is compatible with our interfaces, but they're being thorough, perfect. That gives us exactly the window we need. Lieutenant? Mitchell approached from another direction, her movements casual and non-threatening. Captain, I'm detecting hyperspace distortions at the edge of the system. Multiple signatures, exactly where they should be. Acknowledged. Vasquez looked around the laboratory at her crew. Every person present was a volunteer who had trained for this mission for years. They were scientists, yes, but they were also something the hegemony couldn't understand. Humans who refused to accept that superior technology meant inevitable defeat. The aliens continued their methodical search and data extraction, confident in their overwhelming superiority. 3 massive warships surrounded one damaged research vessel. 40 armed soldiers controlled a crew of unarmed scientists. By every measure of military logic, the situation was completely under hegemony control. Commander Dekvar reviewed the initial data transfers from his flagship. The human research was indeed focused on quantum mechanics, but much of it was beyond his understanding. The technical specifications meant nothing to him. but his science officers would analyze everything thoroughly. "Commander," his sensor officer called out, "I'm detecting some unusual energy readings from the human ship." "What kind of readings?" "Unknown. The patterns don't match anything in our databases. It could be related to their research equipment." Vekvar frowned. Unknown energy signatures were always cause for concern, but the human ship had been thoroughly searched. "Are the readings increasing?" "Slowly, yes, but the levels are still very low. It might just be their laboratory equipment powering up. Continue monitoring. Alert me immediately if the levels spike." Back aboard the Prometheus, Captain Vasquez felt the subtle vibration that indicated Protocol 7 was entering its final phase. The quantum resonance chambers hidden throughout the ship were building to critical levels, their energy signatures carefully masked by the ship's research equipment. The hegemony had made a fundamental error in their assessment of human capabilities. They had observed human ships and assumed they understood human technology. They had encountered human crews and believed they knew human psychology. Most importantly, they had mistaken human restraint for human weakness. They were about to learn the difference. Dr. Chen Vasquez said quietly, "Initiate the final sequence." "Aye, Captain." Protocol 7 is now entering activation phase. All parameters are nominal. Around them, the hegemony soldiers continued their work, unaware that the ship they had captured was about to reveal its true nature. The Prometheus had been built for this exact purpose, to appear helpless while harboring humanity's most advanced defensive technology. The trap was set. The aliens had taken the bait. And now, Captain Elena Vasquez was about to show the hegemony that attacking a human starship was never as simple as it appeared. Protocol 7 activated. The first sign that something was wrong came from Commander Vekvar's sensor officer. "Commander, the energy readings from the human ship are spiking dramatically. Power levels are increasing beyond anything we've seen from their technology." Vekvar moved to the sensor station, his four eyes narrowing as he studied the displays. The readings showed energy patterns that defied his understanding of human capabilities. How is this possible? Our teams reported no advanced power systems aboard that vessel. "I don't know, sir. The energy is building in multiple locations throughout their ship. It's like they have hidden reactors we never detected." On the Prometheus, Captain Vasquez watched her concealed displays as Protocol 7 reached full activation. Throughout the ship, quantum resonance chambers that had been disguised as research equipment were now operating at maximum capacity. The hegemony soldiers continued their search, oblivious to the fact that the walls around them contained humanity's most sophisticated defensive technology. "All stations report ready," Dr. Chen whispered. "Quantum entanglement network is synchronized across all 17 chambers. The resonance field will encompass both our ship and theirs." "Lieutenant Mitchell, what's the status of our backup?" "Hyperspace signatures are strengthening. The fleet will emerge from fold space in approximately 8 minutes." Vasquez nodded. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. The hegemony had walked into a trap 3 years in the making, and they still didn't realize it. War Leader Keshma was beginning to feel genuinely uneasy. His soldiers had completed their search of the Prometheus, finding nothing but scientific equipment and cooperative humans. Yet his instincts screamed that danger was approaching. The humans were too calm, too accepting of their situation. He activated his communicator. "Commander Vekvar, I recommend we accelerate our data extraction and withdraw our teams. Something feels wrong about this situation." "Explain," came the immediate reply. The humans are not behaving normally, sir. They show no fear, no desperation. They act like they're expecting something to happen. There was a pause before Vekvar responded. War leader, you're allowing human psychological tricks to affect your judgment. These creatures are known for their deceptive nature. Complete your mission. But Keshma had survived dozens of boarding actions by trusting his instincts. He turned to study Captain Vasquez more carefully. The human woman stood among her crew with the bearing of someone in complete control of the situation. Her eyes held no fear, no desperation. Instead, they showed the patience of a predator waiting for the perfect moment to strike. All teams, he subvocalized into his unit, prepare for immediate extraction. Something is not right here. His message was interrupted by an urgent transmission from the Sovereign's Wrath. All boarding teams, return to your ships immediately. We're detecting massive energy buildups throughout the human vessel. Unknown weapons systems are powering up. Keshma spun toward Captain Vasquez, his weapon rising. What have you done? Vasquez smiled for the first time since the boarding began. It was not a friendly expression. We've shown you what happens when you underestimate humanity, war leader. You assumed we were weak because we choose peaceful solutions when possible. You thought our technology was primitive because you've only seen what we wanted you to see. Around the laboratory, hidden panels began sliding open in the walls. The hegemony soldiers watched in growing alarm as sophisticated military hardware emerged from concealment. Weapon systems, defensive barriers, and control interfaces that had been invisible moments before now revealed themselves. Protocol 7 is now fully active, Dr. Chen announced, his demeanor transforming from frightened scientist to confident military officer. All quantum resonance chambers are synchronized and ready for deployment. What is Protocol 7? Keshma demanded, his weapon trained on Vasquez. Our last resort defense system, she replied calmly. 3 years ago, the Earth Science Council developed a new form of quantum weaponry based on entanglement principles. The Prometheus isn't just a research vessel, war leader. It's a test bed for humanity's most advanced military technology. On the bridge of the Sovereign's Wrath, Vekvar watched his displays in growing horror. The human ship was no longer the helpless research vessel it had appeared to be. Energy readings showed power levels that rivaled those of hegemony battlecruisers. Weapon systems were emerging from hidden compartments throughout the vessel's hull. How did our sensors miss all of this? He demanded. The quantum resonance fields were masking everything, his science officer reported. Their technology is far more sophisticated than we realized. They've been hiding their true capabilities behind false energy signatures. Sir, his tactical officer called out urgently. I'm detecting multiple hyperspace anomalies throughout the system. Large objects are emerging from fold space. The main screen shifted to show the tactical display. Across the star system, space itself was tearing open as ships dropped out of hyperspace. But these weren't the small, primitive human vessels the hegemony expected. These were massive warships, their hulls gleaming with advanced armor and bristling with weapons that human technology supposedly couldn't produce. Impossible, Vekvar breathed. Intelligence reports indicated humans possessed no ships of this class. Intelligence was wrong, came a new voice over the communication system. The screen shifted to show an elderly human male in a pristine naval uniform. This is Admiral Harrison Reyes of the United Earth Defense Fleet. You are surrounded. Commander Vek, release our people and surrender your vessels. Vekvar stared at the human admiral. You're bluffing. Human technology is centuries behind ours. You cannot match hegemony firepower. Admiral Reyes smiled grimly. Commander, you've been operating under fundamentally flawed assumptions about human capabilities. The ships and technology you've encountered were all we allowed you to see. Today, you get to witness what we've really been building. The tactical display updated to show the true scope of the human fleet. 12 heavy battleships had emerged from hyperspace, each one larger than any vessel in the HFY squadron. Their weapon signatures showed energy outputs that exceeded hegemony standards, and their shielding displayed technology that shouldn't have existed. This is impossible, the HFY repeated. Your species lacks the scientific knowledge to build such vessels. That's where you made your mistake, Admiral Reyes replied. You assumed that because we preferred peaceful exploration, we were incapable of warfare. You believed that because our public vessels used basic technology, we had no advanced capabilities. The truth is, we've been preparing for this encounter since the first time your ships attacked our people. Back aboard the Prometheus, Captain Vasquez was explaining the situation to the increasingly nervous hegemony soldiers. You see, war leader, humans have a particular talent for learning from our enemies. Every time your forces raided our ships, we gathered intelligence. Every captured piece of hegemony technology was studied and reverse-engineered. Every tactical pattern was analyzed and countered. The Prometheus was specifically designed to attract hegemony attention, Dr. Chen added. We made sure you would detect our ship, believe it was helpless, and attempt to board it. Everything you've seen has been carefully orchestrated. Kesh looked around the laboratory with new eyes. The scientific equipment was real, but it had been hiding military systems the entire time. The crew had acted like frightened civilians, but their movements and responses showed military training. Even their surrender had been designed to draw the hegemony into a trap. Protocol 7 is reaching full power, Lieutenant Mitchell announced. All quantum resonance chambers are synchronized and ready for activation. What does that mean? Keshma demanded. Vasquez walked to the central control console, her movements confident and purposeful. It means we're about to demonstrate why attacking human vessels is never simple, war leader. Protocol 7 creates a quantum entanglement field that links our ship with yours. Whatever happens to the Prometheus will happen to your vessels as well. You're threatening to destroy your own ship. If necessary, yes. But I don't think it will come to that. Commander Vekfar is about to realize that he's facing a choice between surrender and annihilation. On the Sovereign's wrath, Vekfar was indeed facing exactly that choice. His 3 warships were surrounded by 12 human battleships, each one capable of matching his firepower. Worse, his boarding teams were trapped aboard a vessel that had revealed itself to be far more dangerous than anticipated. Commander, his weapons officer reported, the human ships are targeting our critical systems. Their weapon locks are incredibly precise. They know exactly where to hit us for maximum damage. Sir, added his sensor officer, the quantum field emanating from their research vessel is surrounding our ships. I'm detecting entanglement patterns throughout our hull structure. Vekvar understood the implications immediately. If the humans activated their weapon system, the quantum entanglement would ensure that any damage inflicted on their ship would be mirrored across his fleet. It was a doomsday device that guaranteed mutual destruction. Admiral Reyes appeared. On his screen again, Commander, you have 60 seconds to order your boarding teams back to their shuttles and withdraw from our vessel. After that, we will consider you a hostile occupying force and respond accordingly. You cannot destroy us without destroying yourselves, Vekvar pointed out. That's correct, but you're operating under the assumption that we're not willing to make that sacrifice. Humans have a long history of choosing death over slavery, Commander. We will not allow our people to be taken prisoner by an aggressive alien empire. Dekvar looked at his tactical display. The human fleet had positioned itself with devastating efficiency. Every angle of escape was blocked. Every critical system on his ships was targeted. The quantum entanglement field meant that any attempt to destroy the Prometheus would result in his own destruction. For the first time in his military career, Commander Vekvar faced an opponent who had completely outmaneuvered him. "Sir," his communications officer said quietly, "we're receiving a transmission from the human research vessel." Captain Vasquez appeared on his screen, no longer pretending to be a frightened scientist. "Commander Vekvar, this is your final warning. Order your troops to withdraw, or we will activate Protocol 7 and demonstrate exactly what human ingenuity can accomplish when we set our minds to it." Vekvar studied the human captain. Her expression was calm, determined, and absolutely without fear. Behind her, he could see the hegemony soldiers standing uncertainly as hidden weapon systems tracked their every movement. "How long have you been planning this?" he asked. 3 years, 2 months, and 16 days, Vasquez replied without hesitation. "Since the day your forces attacked the research station at Kepler 442 and killed 37 civilian scientists. We decided that day to teach the hegemony a lesson about human capabilities. You used your own ship as bait. We used ourselves as bait. Every person aboard this vessel volunteered for a mission that had a high probability of ending in our deaths. That's something your intelligence services never understood about humans, Commander. We're willing to sacrifice ourselves to protect others." Vekvar felt something he had never experienced before in combat: respect for his enemy. The humans had outplanned, outmaneuvered, and outfought his forces using nothing but intelligence, patience, and courage. "War Leader Keshma," he said into his communicator, "order all teams back to the shuttles." "We're withdrawing, sir," came the confused reply. "We've been beaten, War Leader. Completely and thoroughly beaten. Withdraw all personnel immediately." As the hegemony soldiers began filing out of the Prometheus, Captain Vasquez maintained her position at the control console. "A wise decision, Commander. Your people will be allowed to leave safely." "What happens now?" Vekvar asked. Admiral Reyes answered for her. "Now you return to the Hegemony Council and deliver a message. Tell them that humanity is no longer a target for their raids. Tell them that we possess technology and capabilities they haven't imagined. And tell them that if they attack human vessels again, they will face the full might of the United Earth Defense Fleet. They won't believe it. Then show them the sensor readings from this encounter. Show them how easily we've penetrated your defensive formations. Show them what happened when the primitive humans decided to demonstrate their true capabilities." As the last hegemony soldier left the Prometheus, Dr. Chen began powering down the quantum resonance chambers. "Protocol 7 deactivated, Captain. All systems returning to standby mode." "Excellent work, everyone," Vasquez announced to her crew. "Mission accomplished." Lieutenant Mitchell looked up from her station. "Captain, we're receiving congratulations from the fleet. Admiral Reyes reports that all hegemony vessels are withdrawing from the system." Vasquez watched the tactical display as the 3 alien warships moved away from the human fleet. Commander Vekvar had learned a valuable lesson about underestimating humanity, and with luck, he would share that lesson with his superiors. "You know," Dr. Chen said as he secured the hidden weapon systems, "I almost feel sorry for them. They really had no idea what they were walking into. That was the point, James. The hegemony has been bullying smaller species for generations, because they assumed superior technology meant inevitable victory. Today they learned that human ingenuity, human determination, and human willingness to sacrifice can overcome any technological advantage. As the Prometheus began repairs to its deliberately damaged systems, Captain Vasquez reflected on the mission's success. The hegemony would think twice before attacking human vessels again. More importantly, they would spread word throughout the galaxy that humanity was not the weak, helpless species they appeared to be. The universe had learned an important lesson. Never assume that a human starship is simple to attack. Behind every seemingly defenseless vessel might lurk the most dangerous predator in the galaxy. A human who has been pushed too far and decided to push back. In the depths of space, the human fleet began its journey home, their mission complete. They had proven that sometimes the greatest weapon is not superior firepower, but superior intelligence applied with unwavering determination. The hegemony would remember this day, and they would be very careful about attacking human ships in the future. Asterisk.